go. All right, so welcome to Premier Embroidery. And the first thing that we are going to do is I am going to open up the Premier folder. So hang on for just a second for me. Here we go. Okay, so when you open up Premier Embroidery, there is an icon on your desktop, and when you click on it, you will see a variety of documents, one of which says Premier+2 Configure. And when you click on it, you will see this window. When we see this window, what we're going to do first is we are going to check the installation of your software. Now, our purpose today is not to install the software or to verify you have all the modules. Okay, we're going to actually delve into the software and how to use it. But I want you to be able to do this. So if you click on the icon on your desktop, there'll be 5 documents that come up in the window. You're going to click on Premier+2 Configure. You can see that right up here at the top. Okay. And you're going to click on Check Installation. Window comes up, says Installation Check. I'm going to click on Check here. And all of these should be green. Okay? If they're all checked and green, that means that your installation is complete and everything is ready to go. Now you can see a couple of mine here are red, and there are reasons for that here at the store, but you don't have to worry about that. I'm good to go, but you should be all green arrows. If not, there may be a module missing that you need to reinstall. So go ahead and do that on your own time, not right now. If you have trouble, then give us a call tomorrow. Okay, so I'm going to get out of that configure and installation check, and I am going to go right back into our software. When you click on that document and you were in that folder that opened up, you saw the configure. Underneath it you saw there's the P+ icon. That's the actual software. When you click on it, this is what opens up. So it takes you right into the software and how to use it. So the first thing we need to do is we need to talk about opening a file in the software. Alexis, do I have anybody listening?
You've got Kelly Brandt,
Hey,
Kathy
Kelly.
Weaver, and Tony Schneider.
Good. What about Cheryl?
Cheryl didn't comment yet, but she could very easily
Cheryl,
be
I'm waiting
watching.
for you to check in. I talked to you earlier today. Okay, so, and I know that, Tony, I know you're good to go because I helped you yesterday. So hopefully when you clicked on that icon, it came to this window. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the hoops. So you see I'm up here, okay? You see me pointing at the change hoops. When I click on that, we're going to learn a couple things. The window pops up and it says hoop group, but what we're really looking at is what machine do you have? So it's a drop down, so select your machine. So I of course have the designer Epic, so I'm going to choose that machine. If you have a Janome, and Tony, I know you do, so you're going to come down to the Janomes, and for those of you that have a Janome, it's down here, okay? Alrighty, so pick your machine. I'm going to go with the Epic. And underneath that, when I do this drop-down menu, it shows me every embroidery hoop that is available for my machine. So when I look at this, I'm like, daggone it, I don't own all these hoops. I'm trying to, ladies. I'm trying to own every hoop, but I'm not there yet. But to make it easier, what you do is click on the hoops you have. So we know if you have a Viking, the 120 by 120 is our splendid square hoop, okay? So I've picked one of the hoops that I own, and notice right here, there's a check mark. So go, and I'm going to uncheck it for right now. So I'm going to say, okay, I've got the 120 by 120 hoop. I'm going to put a check mark here. And in fact, I'm going to go through all the hoops that I own and put a check mark for each of them. Then, when I go to choose, Alexis, I want my mouse. Oh, you've got it here for me. Good girl. When I go to choose a hoop, notice now instead of the machine model, it says my hoops. Why is that great? It only shows the hoops that I have. So if you have a Viking, we know there's a bazillion hoops. That's an exaggeration. But I can choose just from the ones that I own. Okay? So I'm going to work with the 260 by 200 hoop. If you have a machine, if you're, let's see, what does Kelly have an Epic? She does, right? Mm-hmm. So Kelly, go ahead and do the 260, 200 hoop. Tony, do the largest hoop that your machine accommodates, because we want real estate. And Kathy Weaver has a, what does Kathy have?
A diamond.
Kathy has a diamond. So Kathy, you've got a diamond, so go ahead and pick the 260 by 200 hoop. Okay, so you and Kelly and I will have the same one, and Tony, just pick your largest hoop. So we've got real estate. Now the other thing you'll notice on this hoop selection, look here, orientation. All right, this is for when we're planning our design. Sometimes we want it sideways. For example, if I were doing a quilt label, I would want this hoop facing horizontally to plan my design. Sometimes I want it vertically, okay? So you can change it right here. All right, I'm gonna hit okay. We've got our hoop on board. We're good to go with that. The next thing that we wanna do is we want to open up a file. How am I doing? Everybody up to speed? We're doing good? Anybody else join us?
Robin Sexton, Beth Laggy, Cheryl.
Good.
And
Cheryl,
Joni.
welcome. Good. Beth, always good to see you. Beth knows how to do most of this already. She's just here for a little review, she says. Okay, so we're going to open up a design. Now I want you to follow me. So if you've got two screens, watch me do it and listen, and then do it on your screen. I know I talk fast. I'll gear it down, I promise. So to open a design, I'm going to go up here to the top left, File, Open. Now part of what we're going to do today is computer functionality. So when I go up here, and I'm going to look at this PC, okay, if your software is installed correctly, this is how it should look. Under this PC, in other words, this computer, I'm going to go to Documents. See this little arrow right here? I'm going to call that a caret. Yes, that's what it is. I'm going to click on the caret by Documents. Trust me on this. It drops down. Oh, look at there, Premier+2. I'm going to click on the caret. It drops the menu down, Open, and now I'm looking at the folders within Premier+2. I paused, I know, I'm waiting for you to catch up. So within Premier+2, uh-oh, look right here, Samples. That's what we want, because in the Samples folder, that's where the designs live. So again, I'm going to click on the caret. Within each of these categories here, there are designs for you to explore. Today, for our purposes, we're going to go down to Premier+2 Embroidery. So scroll down here. You're going to click on the caret again, and it gives me 4 more categories: Picks, Stitch, and Stitch 2. So again, we're going to click on another caret here for the Stitch 2 folder. It gives me all the categories of design. So look at this, holy moly. Lots and lots of fun designs. Animals, beach, birds, buildings, butterflies, and bugs. Everybody knows I like the bugs. Fashion, flowers, okay, food and drink. So all these categories have designs for us to explore and to stitch. So what we're going to look at first is, of course, the butterflies and bugs. So I'm going to click and open up this folder. Now, one of the things that we need to learn when we're using our software is, for some of you, what came up was this, or your view may be little tiny tiles. So you'll notice up here, I'm changing the view of how I see my designs, okay? So it may come up where you see just a little bitty thing with maybe like a little flower that indicates a design, but you can't see the design. This is where you change your view of the designs in the folder. I prefer large icons. You can go extra large, but it's so big that you don't get many designs on your screen. So let's choose large icons, and there we see thumbnails of all the designs. Now, we know that this is Premier+ software. We know these are stitch files. Windows, which is the operating system of our computers, doesn't know what a stitch file is. It goes, gee, Ollie, I don't understand. So one of the components that you installed was the Windows Viewer, Windows Explorer Viewer. Okay, so if that component wasn't installed, all is not lost. Don't worry, if you're not seeing thumbnails after you change the view here, that's a component of the software you need to install. Having troubles, call us tomorrow. All right, so I'm seeing the bugs, and I'm going to choose a bumblebee. Now, notice that when I float my cursor over the design, we're getting some important information here. The embroidery width and height. Now, it's in millimeters, and that's what our hoops are in, but it's also in inches, so you know what size the design is. You can see what the stitch count is, the number of colors. Okay, so if you need to do something quickly and it's 50 colors, guess what? That ain't gonna be quick. All right, so 5,800 stitches, that's reasonable. 2.3 inches by 2.36 inches, that's reasonable. Will it fit in my hoop? Sure it will. We're using the big 260 by 200, and this is 58 by 60. So I like the bug. I'm good with the bug, so I'm going to click on the bug, and I'm going to hit open. Bingo, there's my bug. All right, so lots of designs. You saw all those categories. I'm going to show you one other, well, I'll come back to it in just a second. There was something else I want to show you, but we're going to get there. So when I see this design and I click in it, I can move it around inside the hoop to wherever I like. I say, gee willikers, I really like that, but I want it centered. The easiest way to center anything is to go up here. See where I'm at under alignment? I'm dropping it down, center and hoop. Okay, so I can move the design, and hopefully you're moving your design, move your bumblebee around. We want to move you back to the center. Yes, I can move the design manually, but to make sure it's really in the center, up here to alignment, center and hoop. We good? When I say we're good, I'm just checking with Alexis. She's my monitor. She's let me know if I have any issues. We're going to establish a little bit of vocabulary when we use our software. Right now, I'm going to refer to this as the Home tab. See in the upper very top corner, Home tab. All of these, we're going to call these tabs. We're going to be exploring these tabs throughout our 3-week class. But right now, we're working in the Home tab. Okay, so I've got my bug. I like my bug. I'm moving my bug around. I want to take the bug and I want to rotate it. Well, I can't. What? I can't get the bug. So understand, when I want to affect a change on a design, there needs to be a box around it. Good. So right now we want to rotate our bug. Notice up here in the Home tab, about just a little over halfway to the right, you see the rotate, and we are just spinning our bug around. So let's talk about why that would be important. The reason that would be important is if we were doing something and we were using the big girl hoop, right? So if you had, Kathy Weaver has a diamond, so she's got the 360 by 200 hoop. And of course, Kelly has an epic, as do I, and we're using a really long hoop, and we've got a long design, and maybe it's a long line of text. We want to be able to turn that text so it's lengthwise in our hoop. So this rotation, again, I'm selecting the design, and I can rotate it 45 degrees at a time, okay? Or if I want to change it, I can grab the design. Did you see where I grabbed it, that little circle? And I can twist the design. So maybe I want my bug to be about just like that. Okay, so that's how we turn it around. If it's something specific that we want to move an exact 45 or 90 degrees, I of course have my rotate design. All right, so we've moved it around, which we like. I'm looking at this bug, and I like it. I like the bug. He's a good bug. He's a fine bug, but he is a small bug. Let's talk about changing the size of our designs. We okay, Alexis? Everybody on board? Everybody's caught up?
A couple people got a little lost at the beginning, but...
Okay. But everybody was able to find the designs and open a design. If you weren't able to open a design, let me know, okay? Because that's important that you have a design on the screen so that we can mess with it in the software. And Alexis will let me know if you weren't able to open a design, because I can circle back. Okay, so we've got our design here, and we see the bug, and there are a couple of ways to change his size. When we look at our bug, we notice over here on the design panel on the far right side, the number of stitches. Remember, we saw that when we were previewing our design, it's 5838, 5,838 stitches, okay? Now, there are two ways to change the size of the bug, and I want to be real specific on this. We're going to learn two things. If I grab the corner here, and I pull it, I'm changing the size of my bug. Well, I'm not changing him proportionally. That's number one. Now I've got a very ugly bug. One of the more important buttons on your screen, up top left, follow me, right above the word that says Wizards, there's a little backwards arrow. And when you float your cursor over it, you see it says Undo. I clicked on Undo, and now the bug is back to his original size. If I want to change his size proportionally, I want you to take your left hand, I want you to extend your index finger, and I want you to push down on the Control, CTR, the Control button on your keyboard. Okay, Alexis is giving me she's giving me a finger. She's asking me to hang for a second. So hang for a second. What do I got to...
So when Robin went to open a design, it went to her My Designs, so she needs help getting to the samples.
So go back to where you were under the Premier. Okay, tell you what, hang for me just a second. I'm gonna help Robin out, but there's something to learn here too. So Robin, hang tight, and the rest of you, I want you to pay attention. We're gonna come back and play with this bug and resize it, but we're gonna go a little bit out of order, and that's okay. You know, if I have a bug and if I have a bee, he needs to sit on something, right? He needs to sit on a flower. So I'm going to introduce a second design, but at the same time, when I circle back, I'll be able to help Robin to find where the designs are. So this is important, ladies. Write this one down. To add a second design to our screen, we go File, Not Open. Have I made this mistake many, many times? You know it. To add a separate design onto the same screen, we don't open, we insert. So I'm going 2/3 of the way down under File. I'm hitting Insert. Robin, circling back to you. So this is where, Robin, you're right here. This showed me the guides, my designs, my pictures, samples, ding ding. So if you're at My Designs, you want to be right here, Premier+2. And if you remember, that was under Documents. I opened the caret. I found the Premier+2 software. Open the caret. It shows me guides, my designs, my pictures, samples. That's where we want to be. When I open samples, it's showing me all these categories. We're working within Premier+2 Embroidery. Again, click on the caret. It opens up. I see Stitch 2. Click on the caret. It opens up all of the categories. And of course, this time instead of butterflies and bugs, and Robin, you need to go to butterflies and bugs, find a bumblebee or any bug you want. I don't care what bug it is, but I am partial to bumblebees. I'm going to go to flowers, because remember now we're inserting. And Robin, you'll be circling back to get a second design. So I'm going to click on flowers. And we are looking at the flowers. They're all lovely. There's one I really like. Hang for a second. Well, I like a lot of them, but that's beside the point. Oh, I like the thistle. Now, how tall is this? 99 millimeters. Will that fit? Oh, no, I'm with this one, the thistle. Oh, that's 148. That's kind of big. What kind of flower is this? Just says tall flower. I can live with it. Okay, so I'm going to choose this flower, and I'm going to hit Open. So Tony, Kathy, Kelly, the rest of you, Cheryl, you should be adding this flower to the screen. Okay, so there's a second design. How are we? Was Robin able to get to a design?
She hasn't responded yet, but
okay.
Janet Connolly is tuning in.
Okay, hi Janet. Good. I think I've shown some of this to Janet already. I could be wrong, but I think she and I have had class. I know we have. Okay, so we've got our designs. We've actually got 2 designs, okay? And we were talking about changing the size of them, and the last thing that we reviewed was if I grab this corner and stretch it, it distorts the bug. We don't want to distort a design when we change the size of it. So we're taking our left hand, we're extending our index finger, we're pushing down on the Control button on the keyboard. Then I am going to go in and I'm going to grab this corner, and when I change the size, notice no matter what I do, he changes proportionally. So make him big. Make him really big, kind of crazy big. Couple things that you notice. When I made him crazy big, the number of stitches didn't change. Alexis, are you giving me a high sign?
Robin is at samples.
Good.
What does she click next?
She double click on samples, then go to Premier+2 EMB. Open that folder up, and then go into stitch number 2. And then in stitch number 2, there's a category called bugs and butterflies. Open that up and pick a bumblebee, or any other bug that you like. I like bumblebees. All right. When we see this bug, a couple things you probably noticed. When I made him really big, the number of stitches did not change, and all of a sudden he looks a little threadbare. And we know that if I were to stitch him out, the stitching would be a little sparse. If only, and you know this is a setup question, if only there were a way to change the size of my design and modify the number of stitches in it. There are. So we need to get this bug back to his original size. So this is a little review. We're going to the left-hand corner. We're going up to the top, and there's my undo button. My bug's back to his original size. Okay? So that was scaling. That did not change the number of stitches. There are times when you would use that. We're not going to talk about when today because that's not where we're going to go. What we want to do is we want to change our design, because that's a really useful tool, and change the number of stitches in it. So we're going to slide right up here to Resize. I'm dead middle of the Home tab. Click on Resize. What happened? Did you notice that the corners around the design turned blue? That means I have Resize turned on. Take your left hand, extend your left index finger for me, press down on the Control button on the keyboard, grab your corner, and make the bug big. Let go. What happens? If you remember, that bug was 5,800 stitches. My bug is now 15,000 stitches. This actually looks like one of the Asian killer hornets that has infested the Pacific Northwest. And Alexis is rolling her eyes at me because she's not a fan of the murder hornets. Neither am I. Which means that we must take the bug and make him smaller. You know how to do this. We're going to extend our left index finger, put it on the Control button, and we're going to make the bug small. So now my bug is kind of cute. He's 3,200. Okay, so he's smaller than his original size. All right, so we're going to take our bug. We're going to move him out of the way. All right, so now we've got this flower, and I really want the bug to sit on the flower, but the flower is too small. You know how to do this. We need to enlarge it. What do I do first? Slide up, click on Resize. The handles are blue. Left index finger, press the Control button. Grab the corner, make the flower bigger. Excellent. I need to center the flower. And we're kind of reviewing things so that these are embedded in your mind. We're in the Home tab. Slide 2/3 of the way to the right. You'll notice the alignment drop-down menu. When I click on it, it says center and hoop. Easiest way to center a design. Now I've got my bug. I'm going to take my bug. I'm going to put my bug. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Beth Loggy, I know you're laughing because you're the queen of this feature. I know. I put the bug on the flower? No, I didn't. The daggone bug is gone. All right, so what can we do? Again, we're exploring the Home tab. Look here. Okay, Alexis is giving me the high sign. Yes, Alexis?
Is there a limit to how much you resize?
Who asked that?
Nancy Sullivan.
Nancy Sullivan. Good question, Nancy. Okay, so this is a scoop, Nancy. When you resize a design, this software is very, very powerful. Eventually, you will reach a limit. If you take a small design and stretch it to fill your biggest hoop, you will notice that the design will, what I call, start to crack. So when you go too large, you'll notice that there are gaps between the stitches. That means you've exceeded what the computer software can accommodate. And you'll notice it. And I've done that. I found little designs and I wind them way out of shape. When you see the cracks, trust me, if you stitch it out, there will be cracks in it. So if you see cracks, you've gone too far, and make it smaller. Excellent question. Now, someone was going to ask, they didn't, but I'm going to answer anyway. Can you make a design too small? I will tell you this. I took a design, and this is later in our lessons. I took a design. It happened to be the logo of the U.S. Navy. I digitized it, and I'll be showing you how to do this in classes, and it was pretty big. I shrunk it down. It seems that when you shrink down, you've got a lot of latitude in making it small. If you lose some detail, yes, but when you're making a design very small, typically it's for effect anyway. You're not looking for the detail. I happened to take that logo, shrink it down, and stitched it on a mask for one of my sons. So, but we'll talk about how to do that later. All right, we were looking at the bug who's disappeared, which is rather distressing. When I go up here, I'm right in the dead middle of the Home tab. I see Next Design. Oh, there it is. So that little square, remember when we want to affect a change on a design, it has a square around it. That's my bug. If I click it again, I've got the square around the flower. All right, so I can see that this bug will not sit on top of the flower. If only there were a way to change the order of the design. So I'm going to put the bug right here, and yes, he's still behind the flower. I see that, okay? In fact, I'm going to put him on the leaf. There we go. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going up here to layout order. Now we know alignment, that's how we put things in the center. We're going to layout order, click, and I'm going to click move forwards, and look what happened. Now the bug is on top of the flower design. Okay? So what we did is we just changed the order in which these designs would stitch out and load. Okay, that's important. So if you've got different components and you're piling them one on top of each other, you want to be able to see everything. So I'm going to give you an example. Probably not today, probably next week. We're going to look at flourishes and borders. A flourish is like a piece of ribbon, and maybe we'd like to put a name or a date. Well, that lettering and date needs to be on top of the piece of ribbon, right? So knowing how to change that order, which is layout order, becomes very important. So we've got our bee and our bug right here, and we've got our flower. How are we doing, Alexis?
Pretty good. Cheryl has her bee, but she can't find a flower.
Okay, so what you're going to do, Cheryl, is you're going to go File, Insert, and that will take you back to your computer system, and you're going to go into the samples again, and you're going to go to Premier+2 EMB, click the caret, it drops down. You're going to go into stitch number 2, open that up, it'll say flowers, open that up and pick a flower. It doesn't have to be the same one I have, it can be any flower you like. Okay, Alex?
Beth Leggy would like to know what's the difference between move forward and move to front.
No idea.
Move forward would bring it forward one level.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So if I have more than...
Move to front brings it all the way.
Good. Okay, excellent. Kathleen's here, so she helped on that. I just keep moving it forward. But so if I had, let's say I had 5 designs piled on top of one another. I don't know why you would ever do that, but if you had a stack of designs and you move it to the front, it'll move the design that you have the box around all the way to the front of the stack. If you hit move forward, it moves it forward one step. Okay, what you want to do is move the design until you can see it where you want on the screen. Good question, Beth. I don't know. I don't know everything about this software. I know enough to be dangerous. Alexis knows everything. Just ask her. Oh, I got the eye roll. That's not true. Okay. We are up to looking at colors. So we're going to do a couple things. Right now, we see our design. I'm going to make the appearance bigger. So notice I'm floating down here in the bottom right corner. We are looking at the design. It's 65% of its actual size. Let's go 100%. Okay, and we see our designs. Click on the bee, please. Now, if you clicked on the bee and all of a sudden all you can get is a flower, you know how to do this. We're going right up to page through our designs, next design. There's my bee. What we're going to look at are the colors making up the bee. Okay, so when I float my cursor over the different areas of the bee, notice I'm over the yellow, notice how he turned his yellow stripes turn blue. The cursor over the color makes the color of the stitching glow. So if I go down and I can pull down here and I'm going to go to the orange. Okay, now the orange is going to light up. If I go down to the black highlighting, see how it lights up? Okay, so what we want to do is on that yellow, because we can see that really easily, we're going to change that to something really obnoxious, mainly so I can show you how to change it. So I say, okay, this is going to be a psychedelic bug. We're going to click on that yellow color. And this color selection window opens up, and we're going to choose pink. Why? Just so we can see it. You'll notice a couple of things when we're in here changing colors. I have a slide screen here that allows me to go through all the colors. So I can pick, I want a bright pink. I'm going to slide down here and see where my pinks are. Hold on, I want a bright pink. I don't want a dull pink. That's an ugly pink. Ah, here we go. Okay, I'm going to go with, I can live with that. Okay, now you'll notice that there are quick colors up here that you can choose. That's a quick color menu. I can choose spring, summer, fall, winter. So what this does is just changes this menu of choosing quick colors, okay? I look up here and it says what kind of thread this is. Now you and I both know that it comes down to what thread you put in your machine. I got that. I know that. You know that. This is a means for you to plan your design. And I know I've told most of you, because most of you are my students, that embroidery is 90% planning, 10% stitch out. Picking the design, putting text with it if you want, and we're going there later today, okay? Colorizing it how you want it to be. And then it comes down to the colors that you pick. But this allows you, if you're a visual person, to plan out a design or to change the colors in your design. So I said we were going to choose pink. I'm going to choose this bright pink right here, okay? And I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to come back to this in just a second. So now all of a sudden, look, there's my bee. I'm going to make him quite a bit bigger so we can see. Now he looks nuts. Instead of having yellow stripes, he's pink. That looks crazy. But think about this. You're doing a design. You really like the design, but it was rendered in the cool spectrum, which is blues and purples and greens and lavenders. You want it in the warm spectrum. So you want to change that color family on that flower to orange and red and pink and salmon. This is how you do it. You click on the color. Okay, I'm going to click on this pink again. And it calls up the color selection. Now, a couple of other things. Notice up here where it says thread range. It says show my thread ranges, show all thread ranges. So what kind of thread do you have? Well, I have a lot of thread. Most of you know that too. It's a sickness, I know. All right, so we're going to look at one of my favorites. I like the Madeira, and I like the Madeira Poly 40. That means 40 weight. That says Metler. I'm on the wrong one. Here it is, Madeira. And I want the Madeira Poly 40. Madeira Poly 40. Here we go. Okay. So now all those colors are rendered in Madeira colors of thread. Okay, so that's nice. So when I look at this, I see this color of pink is 40 weight, polyester, Madeira, and the number is 1548. Okay? Everybody following along, Alexis? We're good? All right. So there's a point where I'm going to show you this and why. So I'm looking at this. Remember that number, everybody, 1548. I'm going to hit OK. So now we see the pink there. When I float my cursor over it, it says Madeira Poly Neon 1548 Candy. Well, I'm looking at this bee, and I don't really like that orange on his underside. See that orange there? It looks kind of stupid. So I want to make that the same color as the rest of his stripe. How do we do that? We know how. When I take the cursor, I'm floating it over the orange. See how it glows blue? Yep, that's the part I want to change. We know how to do it. Double click on it for me. And I want to change this to that same pink. So I'm going to go and I'm just going to pick my thread, which happens to be the Madeira Poly Neon 40. I know that its color, what was it? Yep, you're right, 1548. Look familiar? It's that same pink. and hit OK. Now both blocks are the same color of pink. Okay, so again, it really comes down to what thread you put in your machine. I know that, you know that too, but this is a way for you to plan your designs so visually it looks the way you want, and then you can get your threads out when you go to stitch and line them up. We good? Everybody cool with that? Changing, designing, coloring? Okay, good. All right, so we're doing pretty well. Is everybody hanging in? Did you get all the names of everybody that's watching, Lex, for our drawing? Good.
Everybody that commented.
Okay, if you haven't commented, just type in and say, hi, I'm here, because if you joined us later, we're going to put all the names of the attendees into a bowl, pull a name out, and there's a prize, which will be at the end of class, so make sure you stay tuned in. All right, so I'm looking at this design, I'm thinking, I wonder how this stitches. So let's talk about this a little bit. I can go into Design Player, and when I click here, it's going to actually stitch out the design so I can see what it looks like as it stitches. Okay, so I can see what color's going first. So it's going to do the flower, right? And we know that because we put the bug on top. And then there's my bug. And we're good to go. All right, so let's talk about this just a little bit. Design Player. I use this all the time to look at things, to see what order things are stitching, and if there's an opportunity for maybe eliminating thread changes. But this is a good way just to see how it stitches. Or if you have a design that you think is an applique, you're not sure, you can do the Design Player and watch it and see if it does the position stitch, the tack down stitch, okay, where when you're going to trim, and then the finish stitching. So it's a good way to do it. Now let's look at one other thing. I know you probably already saw this, but humor me. Another story. Most of you know I have a knucklehead son. He's 19 years old. He asked me to make him a patch. Now my son is of course playing video games in the basement. He's 19. This was before he went away to college. And so I said sure, because you know anytime your kid asks you to make something, you want to do it because you want to be the cool mom or the cool grandma. I'm just a mom. So I designed the patch for him, but I wanted him to see it. Watch this. So if you're designing something for someone, or someone asks you to make something for them, you really, just like a printer, meaning someone that's printing a book, would send a proof to a client, you can do that with your design. You're going to click right down here to share, and you're going to share a picture of the design, and you're going to save what you've designed. So now, look down here. See it says JPEG? We know what a JPEG is, right? That's the same picture. That's the same file that your cell phone uses or your digital camera uses. So when I save the picture, so I can name it whatever I like. So I'm going to call it Flower with Bug. And I can save that. I wanted to save it up here on the desktop. And I'm saving it. I'm going to hit close. I'm going to hit cancel. So just for a second, when I look on my desktop here, all right. For a second, I'm getting there. All right, so I'm looking on my desktop, and there it is, Flower with Bug. All right, so there's my picture on the desktop, and now I can attach that to an email and send it. So what I did with my son, who's in the basement, in the same house with me, I designed the patch that he wanted, and then I emailed it to him in the basement, knowing that, as any good teenager does, he has his phone at his right side, and when it dings that he's received an email, he proofed the badge that I made him, the patch, and told me that it was just fine and I could go ahead and stitch it out. Really kind of him, okay? So what we want to do, we can look and just see the preview pane. There's my picture. All right, so all I did was, I'm going to back out of this and get back into my software, okay? What I did is I went to Design Player, and I shared the picture. I saved it as a JPEG, same file format you use on your phone or your digital camera. and I saved it somewhere where I could find it easily. I just stuck it on the desktop. And then you can email it to someone and say, hey, you like this? And they say, well, I really don't like the purple. Can you make it pink? Oh, God. Of course, because you know how to do that too. All right, so that's kind of nifty. Light View, very similar. What it does is it shows me the design, and I can just twist it around to look at it. It's kind of a little bit more of a 3D look at it. Okay. Can I share that? Of course. Same thing. All right. How we doing? We doing okay? All right. So, we have looked through most of the things on our home screen here. There's one that we haven't, and that's combined. We're gonna do that in a little bit. So now we're going to do a couple more things. There's 3 more things that we're going to do. I'm going to show you, because I promised Tony I would do this. I want to show you how to put some text. And we're just going to do the beginning of letters, okay? So, because there's lots to learn on text, I'm excited to teach you. But I want you to be able to call up a design, call up a second design. I want you to be able to resize them, recolor them. I want you to be able to put a little bit of text with your design, because that's everything, right? Putting monograms, names, text is everywhere in design. I want to show you how to do that. Then we're going to combine it, and then I'm going to show you how to take that design and get it prepared to send to your machine. And we're going to talk about the different ways that we do that. So right now, I'm taking my design here. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller to give myself more real estate. So I'm going to 75%. I did not change the size of my design. I changed the appearance of the design. So let's do one thing. I want to clear some space up here at the top. So I am going to move my flower down and move my bug down. All right, so we're going to put some text up here. Remember, we established the vocabulary that these are tabs. We've been using the File tab. We've been exploring the Home tab. As you would have guessed, we're going to the Letter tab, because that's where our fonts are. I'm going to click on that. And there's lots to learn here, but we're going to just do a couple of things. So nobody scream. Well, you can scream because I can't hear you. So if only there were lots and lots of fonts built into this software. That's one of the most exciting things about the Premier+2 software. To see the different types of lettering or different fonts, this is where I click. Not Font Manager. That's another lesson. Right here, please click on that for me. It drops down, and on the right-hand side of this window, you see a scroll bar. Everybody, if you would, please scroll all the way to the top. There are different categories of fonts. How are we doing, Alexis? Anybody lost? Are we good?
Can you group those so you can move the flower
Yes.
and the bee at the same time?
Yes. Who asked that?
Janet Connolly.
Janet, you're right. We're not doing that. It's another lesson. Calm down, Janet. Janet, I love you. You know that. That was a very good question. Yes, you can. You can group them together so they move as a unit. We're actually going to do something like that coming up. So good question. Excellent. We're looking at the fonts. We want to type a little something, but I want to look at these fonts just a little bit with you. Notice it says applique. Holy moly. So that means if I use this font, it's an outline around fabric. Yes, it is. Is that cool or what? Very cool. If I scroll down the fonts, and I know you're already doing this, you're way ahead of me. Kelly, stay with the class. I know what you're doing. All right, I'm scrolling down. Oh, what foam fonts? Okay, so remember, if you've seen these hats that the guys wear, the dudes wear, and then it has foam letters on them, where it's kind of raised and it stitches around the foam, yep, your machine will do that. Brenda, will you show us how to do it? Yep, not today. I don't want to overload you today, but I think that's something we want to explore. So that's going to be coming up in another Facebook Live. Okay, we're going down, we're scrolling down. We're seeing modern fonts. We're seeing monograms. Ooh, that's big. We like to monogram things, don't we? All right, we're going down. I'm going to the scripts. Or excuse me, yeah, scripts. Okay, so we're going down here. Now, one of the things that I want you to do is this. I want you to all go on Amazon or go to Hob the Lob or Michael's, I don't care. But get yourself a pretty notebook. Don't go to the dollar store and get a spiral bound little notebook because that's just lame. Get something pretty that's hardbound and has a beautiful flower design. That's something that makes your heart sing. I want you to keep it next to your embroidery machine. And what are you going to put in it? You're going to put notes in there from the projects you do. So when you use one of the fonts in your software and you stitch it out and it stitches out beautifully, you're going to make a note in your notebook, okay, your little book that says, hey, in the script, Adina stitches out great. And it does. You can put that in your notebook. That's fine. Adina stitches great. Here to say, love her. Down here, Lydia, another font, stitches out great. So fonts that you like, you're going to make a note. And then if you have one that stitches out caca, okay, you're going to make a note of that too so you don't get caught and ruin a project. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to Adina, and we're going to click here. And I am going to type in here, Happy Spring, capital H, lowercase a, P-P-Y, space S-P-R-I-N-G, Happy Spring. Notice here it's saying what size. When you call up a font, it calls up the smallest size in the category. If you notice when I chose Adina, Adina was listed twice. It's digitized for 12 to 40, and it's also digitized for 25 to 100. So this stitch, which does work well, okay, you can use to make really big things or small things. So we're going to go here, and we're going to change this to, 25, which might be a little big. Let's go 20. Okay. So we've got 20 millimeters. Remember on your screen, each block is 10 millimeters. So we know that the A in Adina is going to stretch across 2 blocks. All right, that's all we're going to work with right now. I'm going to hit apply. I've got my block of text. As you know, you can grab it and move it up here. You see in the center, see that little green thing there? Okay, I can line that bullseye up on my center line to make sure that my text is centered on my screen. All right, now, as you would guess, you can do multiple lines. So I'm going to do something here, and I call this auditioning fonts. So I'm going to go here, and I promised you one other font that I know stitches well, and that would be Lydia. So I've changed the font, and I'm going to do one other thing. I'm going to hit enter, and I wanted to show you that you can have multiple lines of text. And so I'm going to type May 5th, 2021. Okay. Oops, I need a space in there. Why? Because it looks stupid. There we go. Multiple lines. All right, so I'm going to hit apply, and I've got, okay, now this was 15. You can see it's quite a bit smaller. Even though the size might be the same in height, different fonts will be spread out more than others. So I see Happy Spring, May 2021, so I'm auditioning text. You can, if you're trying fonts to see how things look, you can litter this screen with fonts with the same phrase all over it to see which one you like. Okay, so I've been known to take the same phrase and put it in, 8 or 10 different fonts on the screen, call my husband from the other room to come in and ask him which one he likes best. He hates it when I do that, so of course I do it all the time. But he does have good advice. So we've got another font here. All right, so now you noticed here that when I typed it, the second line of text was centered directly under the first. All right, so we're going to go with, I like this. I like Adina, so I'm going to go here. To make this go away, I can just hit the delete button. Boop. That was on my keyboard. All right, so I've got Happy Spring. I'm going to float it down here. But don't be afraid to try different fonts. All right, and we're going to learn more about fonts next week. So, Janet, you were asking about, is there a way that we can group these or put them together? And I promise that we're going to move back to the Home tab, right up here, top left, Home tab. All right, we're going to combine these. So when I hit combine, it's going to ask, do you want to combine all the designs? When I say yes, now it's one design, and I can move it. I can put it over here. We know how to center it in the hoop. Okay? Yes, Janet, there's a way to group just a couple of them together and move them as a unit. We'll get to that next week. Promise. I'll make a note of it. So we've got our design. We've got our hoop. It's centered. Now, if only she would stop talking and tell me how to get it to the sewing machine so I can stitch it. We're going up here to the File tab, top left corner. I'm going to drop that down. So let's talk about a couple things. We have some different machines represented here. There are different ways to do this. I'm going to first export my design. Then we'll talk about some other ways. So Tony, this is gonna be applicable to you. Actually, it works for everybody. So let's go through it, and then I'm going to circle back to some of the other machines that have wireless and have cables. But first, we're going to go File. I want to export this design. The window comes up, and it's asking what file format. So what file format? What machine do you have? If you have a Viking, you want to export it as a VP3. Okay, that's my stitch format. I'm going to drop it down. If I have a Janome, I'm going to go down here to JEF, which is Janome embroidery file, right? Because that's the file format that your machine understands. So I use oh, look at there, it's VP4. That's not the stitch out format. I'm going to use VP3. Couple things. When we're exporting this over here, we already combined our design, didn't we? We took the bug, we took the flower, we took the text. If I had not combined it, I would have that opportunity to do it here when I'm exporting it for stitching. Remove overlap. Because I combined it, it took the stitches of the leaf that were under the bug and removed them. Okay, so we're not going to be pounding stitches on top of stitching. All good things. We like it. Color sort. If you remember, we took two colors on the bee, the bumblebee, and made them the same color. Because I've got color sort selected, it will eliminate one of those thread changes. It'll group them together. So there's just one pink. We made the bumblebee pink. I know that's stupid. But we made it one color sort. Okay, it'll be one change. Optimize stitch length. Just leave it checked. Don't worry about it. All right, so we've got our design. We can see it sideways. Wait a minute. Okay, we're going to click here to have it rotated in our hoop because we want it to be vertical. All right, I'm going to hit OK. The next thing it's going to do is going to ask me where I want to save that exported design with all the instructions for my machine. Notice it's calling it down here. It's calling it Flying Bee, which was the name of the first design we put in, which was that bumblebee. It's got the file format down here. It's saying you want to export. It's asking where. So if you use a USB stick to send your design to the machine, you are going to choose a USB stick. So we know right now I'm asking the machine to export. If I unplug this, am I still going to have audio? No? Okay. So I'm going to just unplug my mouse. Can you hear me? They can hear me? Good. Okay, because somebody, that would be me, unplug the microphone as opposed to the mouse. That's me. Okay, so I'm going to plug in my USB. So what I'm doing is I'm exporting that design. And we see, here's the USB. It just popped up, right? Because I just plugged it in. So I've got my design exporting, Flying Bee exported. I'm going to choose my USB. And I'm going to export. Okay? So now, if I were to take that USB and plug it in the side of my machine, and I'm going to circle back for you Janome people, so just hang tough for me. If I were to plug that USB in the side of my Viking machine, I would be able to find that design and stitch it out. Now, let's go one step for the Janome folks. Okay, so File, Export, and I'm going to go down to the JEF because that's what you use, Tony, and anybody else that's a Janome girl out there. Okay, and I am going to change the hoop. I need to make it a bigger hoop because it won't fit in there. So chill for me a second. Okay, good. Okay, so now everything's good. I've got all my goodies selected. I'm going to hit down here. I'm going to hit OK, and now it's asking me where do you want to export that design. Now, this is my USB that I use in my Janome. We know that with the Janome, I need to go click on the EMB folder. Okay, and Beth, you know this already. When I open that folder up, I now see within there the EMBF folder. Click, and there's lots of designs in there already. So now I can say export. When you've designed a design and you're sending it to the stick for your Janome, it must be exported into the EMBF folder. So I go to the USB, I select the EMB folder, open it, and within that is the EMBF folder. I open that, and then I export, and my design is in the proper place so that when I put the stick in my machine, the machine will read it, and I can call it up to stitch. Alex, we good on that? Okay, all right, so I promised you a couple of ways, and this is the last thing that we're going to learn today. I think we've learned a lot. Hopefully I didn't blow anybody's mind with all the information. I know I talk fast. Okay, so we're going to do a couple of things. For Kelly, you've got an Epic, and some of the other ladies have diamonds as well. So let's deal with the Epic first of all. If I have an Epic, I can go down to a couple of different things. There's going to be a send to my Sonet. So I can do this and send my design directly to my Sonet storage. So if I have an Epic 2, I can send the design to my Sonet and I can access it, or an Epic 1, or a Brilliance, or a Sapphire 85, or an Epic Ruby. I can access the design when I send it to my Sonet. What that means is when you go into the file manager on your machine, you're going to look at the cloud icon at the top. There's a cloud, there's the machine, there's a USB. You click on the cloud and you'll see this design was sent over the wireless to your machine, and you can retrieve it. Okay? There's also another choice when we have this online with one of the machines that uses the Wi-Fi. There'll be another choice here where it'll say send to the Sonet, or send to my machine directly. And when you float your cursor over it, it's not appearing on the software right here. When you float your cursor over it, if I have my Epic turned on, it's in embroidery mode. I have the edit screen on. There's nothing on the edit screen. I can actually send a design from my software over the Wi-Fi directly to my Epic, or of course the Brilliance or the Sapphire 85, etc. And the design will magically appear on the screen. The machine is going to ask me one question. Do you want to receive data from that computer? So it'll list your computer identifier, whatever. And you say, of course, yeah. When you say yes, then the design will appear on your machine on the edit screen, and then you're ready to stitch out. Okay? So that's on your Wi-Fi enabled Viking. If I am using, I know I hear myself, I'm slowing down, hard to believe. Okay. Okay. If I have, Kathy Weaver, you've got a diamond. If you have the cable connecting your computer to your diamond, there's one end is a USB that goes in your computer, the other is a fire wire, and there's a port on the right hand side of your machine. If you have them connected, you can use the send, okay, and it will send the design to your diamond. All right. You can also use Send Express, Kathy Weaver, or anyone else that has a cabled Viking, like a ruby or a diamond. Okay, the Send Express will send it directly to the screen as well. Okay. For your homework for next week, you need to call up 2 different designs. I hope you're writing this down. Call up 2 different designs. You need to change the colors on a couple of the different thread instances. You need to resize portion of the design. In other words, one of the designs, at least one of them has to be resized. When I say resized, using the button, that changes the number of stitches. Okay, so 2 designs, one you open, one you insert. You're going to change the number of stitches by resizing. You're going to position them where you want. You're going to add text. You're going to export your design, or if you want to use one of the direct methods, either cable or Wi-Fi, send it to your machine and be able to retrieve it and be ready to stitch it out. Okay. She's giving me the index finger. And so what questions do I have, Miss Alex?
Janet had a question
Okay.
about sending it from her software to her Epic One through the MySona and how she would do that.
Okay.
And then Nancy asked about Send and Send Express and if that was only for wired machines.
Yes. Yes, Send and Send Express is for machines that are cabled. And Nancy, what machine does Nancy? It's Nancy Sullivan, but I don't. What machine does Nancy have? I don't remember. Nancy, tell us what machine you have. Janet was. Oh, okay. So Janet, what we did was to send it to your to your Epic One. Your Epic One needs to be on the Wi-Fi. You need to be signed in on your SONET account on your Epic One machine. Okay, and you need to be signed in on your SONET on your computer. And at that point, you're going to go, I'm going to show you right here. You're going to go File, and you're going to go Send to SONET. And then the design will magically delicious appear in the SONET account on your machine. Okay? Nancy Sullivan, what machine do you have?
Epic.
Epic. Okay. Nancy, you don't want to use Send or Send Express. You want to use the SONET, or on your software there'll be two buttons. One is Send to the SONET. The other one is Send it directly to the machine. And in that case, the design will show on the edit screen of your machine. Your machine needs to be turned on in embroidery mode and tuned into the edit screen. And the edit screen is blank. Okay, and then the machine will ask permission to receive data. You say, uh-huh. And then the design will appear, and then you're ready to move forward. What other questions do I have, Miss Alex? Are you telling me that I am that good of a teacher? After all of that information, either I've confused them, they're asleep, or they understand it. Now, Beth, I know you do because you and I have gone through this. I know this was just a review, but that's fine. All right, at this point, remember next week, 4:30, we're going to learn more. Hold on, hang tough. She's giving me the index finger on her left hand.
Can I use Send Express on my Janome 12,000?
No. You're going to need to export to your USB. On your Janome 12,000, the other choice is you have something called the Horizon Link, and that is a piece of Janome software that allows you to send designs directly to your machine. Okay, and I'll tell you what, we're about out of time. I'll make a note of that, and we'll talk about that next week using the Horizon Link for the Janomes. So for right now, you're going to just export to the USB and put the USB in your machine, and then you're good to go. Other questions? What are we going to do next week? Sure. Okay. Nobody asked that. I just wanted to say what we're going to do. We're going to explore more about the fonts. I've got more I want to show you on that. Because text is such a big part of design right now, and you've got so many options in this software, I can't wait to show that to you. So we're going to do that. We're also going to talk about frames and borders for designs. And we might delve a little bit, if you all behave. I feel like a mom. So proud. We might delve a little bit into the Modify tab. No, don't. Kelly Brand, don't be clicking on that. I know you are. I can see you. Don't think I can't see you. All right, at this point, Alexis is going to draw a name for our prize. Could we have a drum roll? And the name is, she's handing it to me, it's folded in half. The name who wins the prize is Joni Schultz. Is Joni still tuned in? Got to be present to win. Is she there? Joni, are you there? Say something, Joni, baby. Not there? It's delayed just a second, Alexis told me, so we're going to give it a couple seconds. We've got a couple seconds. Oh, the other thing that somebody was wondering, nobody asked this question either, but it's good information. This presentation is recorded, and Alexis will be, right, Alexis? And Alexis will be posting it. So if some of the information you wanted to go back and review, you'll be able to get to it again on from our Facebook page. All right, so no Joni? Okay, give me another name, and if Joni is there, then we'll give away 2 prizes. Yeah, they can take it out of my paycheck. All right. Up. I'll tell you what, I don't know that I'm going to give this to this lady. She asked too many questions. And I'm kidding, of course. Janet Connolly. Actually, Janet asked very good questions. Questions help add to the class, so I never mind that. All right, we are done for today. I hope you enjoyed class. If you did, you know, a good word on our Facebook page or Google is always appreciated. Until next time, it's Brenda with Luke's, and I'll see you next Wednesday at 4:30. Bye-bye for now.